everyone. Welcome back. We're actually just getting back from lunch. I feel like situationally I need to tell people what we're doing, but this is pre-recorded, so it doesn't really matter. But we are here live from the Automate 2024 show floor. And we're talking with Srna from OTTO and our good friend Ed again from HARTING. And honestly, I know a little bit about OTTO. We've obviously seen the news, the acquisition from Rockwell. You guys are in the AMR space. But I can't say I know, too much or any nuts and bolts. So can you just give us a little, intro of yourself and tell us a little bit, whatever you want to say about OTTO?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's as an automation lady myself in the manufacturing industry. It's really, really nice to be here. Ed, nice to see you again.
You too, Srna.
OTTO, you're right. OTTO did just get acquired about 6 months ago by Rockwell Automation, and it's been wonderful. We specialize in autonomous mobile robots. Sometimes this is referred to as AMRs as an abbreviation. And basically, we help manufacturers automate their material handling processes. Now with Rockwell's addition, we're part of this powerhouse within industry titans that are so well established in the space. And they have existing equipment that is proven in the industry, but with the acquisition of AMRs, now they can connect those pieces of equipment to each other and continue to add value in the market as we're continuing to see it grow.
Very cool. I have a question. I've always thought of AMRs as more part of like the logistics and material handling industry, which I don't know too much about. Like I don't go to those shows. I've always been more of a factory automation person. Ali has more of the process automation background. Can you tell us what applications, how are AMRs blowing up in the non-logistics part of manufacturing?
Yeah, it's so interesting that you say that because we do specialize in the manufacturing portion. There are a lot of AMRs on the show floor as well. And we kind of divide and conquer. Some specialize in the logistics in the warehouse and others specialize in manufacturing. So you'll see a good variety. And to your point, AMRs are becoming more and more mainstream. I think we were one of the very first AMR vendors way back in the day to exhibit at Automate. And when we first launched our product in 2015, people didn't really know what that technology was. The questions that they were asking us is, what is that? How does it move? Is it safe? How do you use this robot? And fast track to 2024, the questions that we've been answering yesterday and all day today are more around, how do you apply this in this process within this part of my manufacturing plant? So we're finding that manufacturers understand the technology way more than before. And now they're coming to us with an ROI that they need to meet. And they're saying, I need to hit this within this time frame. My tack time needs to improve to be this. How can you help me achieve that? So the conversations are much more targeted. They're much more educational. Whereas back in the day, people were just wondering what to do with it.
I can imagine that how do you get a robot to bring you all kinds of different parts for assembly?
Yeah. What's really interesting too is it's not just one type of manufacturing company. They're becoming more and more mainstream. We have so many verticals within automotive. We have consumer packaged goods, food and beverage. We do have some logistics and warehouse as well. So it's not one application within one type of manufacturer. It's really the manufacturing industry as a whole needs to solve many different challenges that they're facing, and they're looking towards AMR technology to help them get there.
How is the technology evolving from, like you said, you were having those first conversations years ago and people are just asking, what the heck is this thing?
Yeah.
Now there's a lot more types, right? There's a lot more new technology going into the control systems, the guidance systems. Do you guys have a particular technology that you focus on at OTTO, or do you have different styles for different applications?
Yeah, we have different robots that carry different payloads because, to Ali's point, there is no one specific manufacturer. People carry different things. And look around this room. Can you find one thing that wasn't manufactured? Everything needs to be manufactured. And you have little semiconductors, which don't weigh a lot, but then you have massive, massive payloads that are up to 4,000 pounds. So we prioritize making sure that we can cover payloads from over 300 pounds all the way to over 4,000 pounds.
And the top end, 4,000? Wow.
Yeah. So it's huge, huge payloads. We're moving engines, cars, car tires,
heat exchangers.
Yeah. Ali, I like where you're going. I'm going to share this with our product team. Can we move cars? The whole thing.
No, just think of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. We have this one customer and we bring engines and the actual tires to the manufacturing line. So I think every car since 2015 that was manufactured was brought to the assembly line by an auto AMR.
That's awesome.
It's really, really cool.
So now some of the early technology was like magnetic stripe they would follow. How do you make them move around now and like control them, stuff like that?
Yeah. What you're referring to is an AGV, another acronym I know, but that's an
That's an older one, right?
That is an older one. It's an automated guided vehicle. Those are also advancing now as well. So they have more and more capabilities, but really, really simple is AGVs they require physical infrastructure to move. So there's a magnetic tape on the floor and they can only go where that tape is. Think of that as like a streetcar.
Yeah.
There's a track on the ground and it can't go off that track. It's just on that track. And if I put my bicycle in front of that track, the train can't go. So someone needs to get out, move that obstacle out of the way, and then the train can continue to move. AMRs are like an Uber. There is information that it knows about, say like, oh, there's a congestion on this street, or in a manufacturing facility, it would be an aisle. And would say, okay, someone put a bike in front of this obstacle. Just take the next street over, and the AMR would just find the next path. So basically, it's always just trying to find the quickest way to get from point A to point B.
Right. I actually wanted to touch on something, and thank you yesterday for showing us around your display in booth.
Of course,
it's wonderful. I highly recommend anyone to check it out if you're here at Automate this year. But I thought was really interesting is that some of the other AMR manufacturers, they have like metal grates or physical barriers around, their displays with the AMRs, but you did not. So explain how that.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you noticed that. Thanks, Ed. We try not to put a strong barrier around our booth. Sometimes shows will require it, but we try to make it look as minimalistic as possible because we don't want people to think that this technology is not safe. It is safe. It collaborates with humans all the time, and we take safety very, very seriously. When people are walking around the trade show, there are lots of technologies that kind of look the same, right? You're going from booth to booth and it's like, okay, I see this robot. It's driving around, it's turning, I get it. But how do you tell the difference between one robot versus the other? It's so hard. But one of the things that we try to do, and we differentiate ourselves in this way, is we don't put a huge barrier around. And we actually let people come inside. So vehicles aren't using that barrier for safety reasons. It's the more people you let inside your booth, the vehicles have to stop. And then there's no demo anymore. So it's not for safety, but we actually do let our customers come in. This is unique to us. It's maybe one of the tips that prospects or manufacturers can look out for as they're going from booth to booth to booth. Ask them about their safety. Ask them if they can actually come inside to see the robots.
Oh, yeah.
And if they say no, why not? Why can't I come inside? Can I step in front of it and watch it go around me? Why not? The other thing is software. Software is a huge one. Like, robots are flashy, they're fun, they have lights and sounds, and naturally you're drawn to them. But it's actually the software that you should be buying. The intelligence of the robots, the safety behind the robots, that's all driven by the software.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that we try to do is actually feature our software. We have a massive Jumbotron that's hanging in our booth. It's so huge. It takes up about 50% of the space and it's just hanging in the air. But we wanted to feature this because we wanted people to see that the software that's running the hardware, and there's nothing that we're hiding, right? Sometimes you have these demo minders, and
yes,
it could be people like on a laptop and they're just like eagle eye, just watching the demo, hoping that nothing happens. And if they do, they're right there to fix it. We try to just allow people to know that this does exist. And we don't do that. We put our software up, and all the information that's there for that whole show is available for any prospect to come and see.
Sounds like you guys would be a great prospect for an Automation Ladies demo, because we want to do real demos, and we will tell people ahead of time something might go wrong. But that's also the beauty of this. This is a real demo. You're not going to get some sort of canned, faked thing because in real life, you sometimes run into problems.
Yeah.
And I say that, and then actually probably more than half of our demos have literally gone off without a hitch. But you can't expect it.
Yeah.
And it makes people afraid to show the real thing if they think that only thing that's acceptable is perfection.
Yeah. You know, the word perfection is interesting because we have we don't bring in flooring into our booth either. The concrete that we show up with, on the day one of setup is the same concrete that we show during the showcase. We don't put hardwood. We don't put any fancy flooring, even though it's nice for pictures.
Yeah. For
sure. It's so beautiful to look at. But the cracks, the imperfections that come with the floor is actually a huge feature for us. No manufacturing environment has hardwood floors. So why are they featured here? Show us the imperfections, show us the cracks, and show us how your vehicles can navigate around that.
Yeah.
It's perfect. And to your point about imperfections, I mean, things could go wrong, but you trust your robots, you trust your team. We have about 2 days to set up, so the manufacturers are all kind of in the same, they have the same timeline. One doesn't have more time than the other. So it's interesting to see within that 2-day time slot, how are different manufacturers showing different things? Are the AMRs working together? That's a lot more complicated. How do you get the vehicles to interact with each other versus if you just spread them out in the booth and like one robot is just independent on the right-hand side and another robot is on the left-hand side? That doesn't take as much time to set up.
Yeah.
Maybe that's another thing that people can look out for as they're going to trade shows in the future.
Oh my gosh, I would love to watch like a demo wars. Everybody has the same amount of time and like throw in a wrench and make them like deal with it.
Nikki, this exists. Like there are these things called bake-offs.
Yes, I know.
And, it's pretty intense, but it's true. Like these large manufacturers will come and say, here's the tack time that we need to hit in our production environment. You versus this AMR vendor versus this AMR vendor all have to film and with a stopwatch and all have to complete that obstacle, whatever they assign us at the exact same time. And they call it a bake-off and may the best AMR win.
Okay, I actually did not know that. I thought you meant the literal bake-offs because that's what I was thinking of.
No, it's like a mini competition, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. Competition fosters innovation, and especially when competitors can collaborate a little bit. I think that helps move us all forward. You guys are a partner with SVT Robotics, right?
We are a partner. I think we are. Now I might get in trouble from our product team. I'm not 1000% sure, but I want to say
I think we are. I think you are.
Yeah.
But I guess I won't put the words in your mouth. The reason I bring this up, HARTING has friends, and as do we at Great Solutions, who are a great integrator, Rockwell integrator. They're an SVT partner. And so Morgan Wilson, their partner success manager, we've talked to on the show a couple times. And I think she's I even met someone from Auto at the Great Solutions event a couple of years ago. So I think I'm not wrong in saying that there's like a collaborative aspect to that. But they're kind of a middleware, right? That also says, hey, if you are using other brands, we have to recognize that, right? And you want them all to work together. You can't just say buy 1,000 of my robots and they're going to be great and they're all going to work together. Yeah. The reality of most plants out there is they already have some installed base of something. They may have tried a pilot of one thing or another. And you don't want to say, well, that was all wasted money. Now go with all of mine, right? Are you guys really looking at this kind of as an ecosystem as well?
Yeah. There's so many different types of ecosystems that need to exist in order for this product to thrive in a manufacturing environment. I mean, it's simple as the attachments. Who's building your attachments? The lifts and the conveyors and just a lot of custom attachments, because back to the point of no manufacturing facility is the same. And even if it is the same account, but just you have one company and they have many manufacturing plants around the world, even though they're moving and manufacturing the same product, how they do it could be different too. So one could be doing it with a lift that's, maybe larger than the other. There's specific dimensions that are different. So a lot of our attachments are custom as well. So you need a strong ecosystem that can support you. And we didn't even talk about scale, like internationalization yet, but that's a whole nother game too. It's okay, North American manufacturing is booming. The rise of AMRs is definitely becoming mainstream in North America, but are we looking out for the European and the Asian manufacturers? What are they doing? How do we adopt and support those manufacturing facilities from America? We manufacture products in Canada, but how do we support AMR adoption worldwide?
Right.
Yeah, that's something that maybe modularization and some standardization can really help with, right? And I say that because I've seen people that are executing projects in different parts of the world, and they'll have some part of the design be the same, but then they're like, oh, but we have to go with this vendor over here, and we have to go with this vendor over here because the local ecosystem only supports that, or we feel like our technicians in this particular country are only trained on this platform. I'm hoping that as more tools can become common between vendors, you may not have to have this bifurcation of we have to do this over here and that over there and not have any kind of talking and cross collaboration between those sites. Yeah. And I've seen both ways where from the top, they kind of drive more, let's use a common platform so that all of our sites can work together. And then some companies are the engineers at this site, they love this and they do this and let's leave them alone. But Yeah, I don't know. Just coming like from Europe and having to come here. And then, I mean, I'll use a super basic example, but like the imperial system of numbering things. Like, why do you make it so hard? Why do I have to learn something completely new?
Yeah. We just a little fun fact to support that. We just launched a new website and we had to add both metrics, like the metric and imperial system. And we had to have a little toggle just because there are more and more European and Asian manufacturers that are looking to have auto AMRs in their facilities. And yeah, the inches and the feet are really, the pounds are really complicated and they have to convert all that. So now we have to support both.
Oh, goodness, yes. And as a connector manufacturer, we have the same struggle, especially, headquartered in Europe, in Germany. So, yeah, it took a while to educate our North American colleagues on, the difference between a 2.54 millimeter pitch and an inch pitch, which is the same thing. But people get so confused by just that little change. It's yeah. So,
are the innovations in connectors and connectivity and all of this kind of stuff, how does that parallel with the growth of your business or innovation in the types of applications that you're seeing? I guess now I'll just like straight up, how do we tie these two things together?
Well, I can start off. So our products, and we understand the things that Otto and Srna are trying to accomplish. Our products are really under the hood, so to speak. So we spoke about it before. Connectors are better kind of unseen, unthought about, but they have to work. So some of the things we do, we're talking about anything that's moving. We talk about shock and vibration. So environment is very important. Size and weight is extremely important. I'm sure it affects power consumption and everything else. So we optimize or we develop our products to address those concerns so that your AMRs and your things, work as smoothly as possible. Ease of troubleshooting would be another way. So let's say there's an issue with, a connector or harness inside of the AMR. We want to switch that out as quickly as possible. I'm sure on any of these factory floors that are using your products, time is money. And so we want to facilitate, easy changeover. So there's a number of things, just understanding kind of your macro level concerns or the concerns of your customers that we can do on the connectivity standpoint to address.
Great answer, Ed. I'll tie in a personal story, I guess. I actually was contacted by someone in my network from LinkedIn a few weeks ago. I won't name names. They are working with other AMRs and they're doing some sort of integration project. And they were like, we cannot find this connector anywhere. It's a connector that goes from like a power supply or a battery or something on there. And then they came to me and they're like, we cannot source this anywhere. We don't even know. They're asking for a custom solution. Like, can you make these for us? And I was like, I know somebody that'll make custom cables with connectors, but I need to know what the heck this connector is because it does not sound like anything I know or anything that's standard. And they still haven't figured it out. They still haven't figured out exactly what they need or where they can get the connector so that they can get it soldered onto custom cables. And it's been a few weeks now, and this does not sound like a fun thing to have to deal with. And it's in a, we came back to it and I was like, hey, I got somebody that can make these for you, no problem. They're like, yeah, we just got so many other things going on. And this is one of the items on the list that shouldn't be a problem, right? And I don't know how many man hours are going to go into actually solving this particular problem of just having an available connector solution that is standard enough that they can get it somewhere.
Right.
And I didn't think that would be a problem nowadays. Like it seems unreasonable, but that's happening right now with some people that I know.
Right. And it shouldn't be a problem. And that shouldn't be something that your customer or the person you mentioned should be concerned with, or that you should be concerned with. The connector should be available. It should work. We talked about standardization and another one. Standardization is great. That gives you more options in terms of who you can use or replace the product with. And it's really our goal and hopefully a goal of other connector manufacturers to make sure that those type of problems don't occur anymore. And you can focus on the real things, which is the end use application of your product.
When they figure out that problem and they need to move it within the manufacturing plant, they can contact Otto. We can move those for them. We can't build them, but we can move them for them.
There you go.
What is the hottest application that you're seeing and like coming up for you guys, or the biggest area of growth?
The biggest area of growth, I think we can continue to look out for the rise of adoption of AMR technology. I think every report that we're seeing right now, like the MHI report just launched in 2024, and it was like 83% of manufacturers are going to adopt AMRs or some sort of automation technology in their manufacturing plant in the next 5 years. That's a crazy amount of growth. And I mean, I mentioned that we were here for many years ago at Automate, and it's just crazy. Like now we have customers coming in, we have partners coming in, we have new people, new prospects, new manufacturers that are looking for this product. It's more and more and more. And it's been really fun to have a front seat for this, what feels like a whirlwind in the last couple of years. But I think the rise of adoption of AMR is going to be really, really important. And to your point about interoperability, figuring out how we can all work together within the same space to continue to add value to manufacturers is another thing we can look forward to. There are like VDA 50/50 and different compliances and standardizations that are, becoming hot right now. And manufacturers AMR vendors need to figure out how to support manufacturers.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a story all around, that we're all starting to see that being customer centric, focusing on being able to work together to help the customer adopt more, makes them feel comfortable. Because we've had this technology out for a long while now. Same thing with like single pair Ethernet is not new. Right. It's been around, but it hasn't been fully vetted and tested and is not as widely available in the ecosystem for manufacturers to feel comfortable actually fully going into adopting and spending the money on this.
Yeah. You know what else is really interesting? In the last couple of years, if I look at all the AMR vendors that are exhibiting, a lot of them are getting acquired by larger companies as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how those AMR vendors are going to grow themselves and what that larger company is going to do with the AMR technology. I think everyone at Auto is really, really lucky that it was Rockwell Automation, someone that's within our industry as well, that did acquire us. And there's already integration work happening to figure out how do we connect Auto AMRs to their product portfolio. But it's going to be interesting to see all the other AMR vendors that are getting acquired. What are they going to do with that acquisition? How are they going to grow? Are they going to include interoperability? Are they going to connect? Like, what does this mean for them?
Right. And that's a question I had. Like, what do you see in the next 5-10 years, whatever, in the industry? Like, are those trends going to continue, or what do you see?
Yeah, I think AMRs are hot right now. I think they're going to become mainstream. And I think we should all expect that. I mean, like I mentioned, they're in all the reports. I think AMR technology is listed as the top 3 product that manufacturers are looking to automate. I know right now they're having a lot of safety challenges. That's from 2015 to 2024. One thing is consistent. Manufacturers are concerned about safety, and they want to make sure that whatever product they purchase is safe and collaborative with existing humans. And I think the other thing that people are going to be looking for is to figure out the labor reallocation challenges as well. Our customers are having job fairs. They do want to hire people, but those people are not applying. I think manufacturing jobs aren't maybe as sexy for millennials as our previous generation. And, the millennials would rather work at AI companies or be on a laptop and, be engineers and stuff like that. But that's something that we've always seen. And I don't think those problems are going to go away. But the responsibility of the AMR vendors is going to be to figure out how do we make sure that we educate the manufacturers and the general public that these robots aren't taking these jobs away. How do you take your existing labor, the one that's so scarce, and put them into jobs that are higher value added tasks that robots can't automate, like relationship building, communication, jobs like that. And then the robots can automate the dull, dirty, or the dangerous jobs from those humans. And together, in close collaboration, we can make sure that the manufacturing facility is running and things are productive and safe and collaborative. But I think we're there now. Like these robots are live. There's hundreds and hundreds of them in the world today. But I don't think that's going to stop. I think we're going to continue. I think we're going to have to continue to educate customers on the value of AMRs and the safety of them with their existing workforce.
So I've seen the reports, and I think that we need to wrap this up. But Gen Z is actually going into the trades at a higher rate than we expected. And that's been amazing because we've been trying to put that message out there for so long.
Yeah.
I think the last decade or so, it was very hot to go work for the big software companies, right? Become a software engineer. I went into software from after 10 years in the field. And eventually I realized I miss real things that move around, that make things. And so I'm very hopeful that as we start to bring more automation into these traditional manufacturing jobs, if there's enough visibility to the younger folks that are interested in programming or, high tech, that they'll catch the bug of the real things. And as we, bring our industry, kind of emerge it a little bit more with this traditional, software engineering disciplines, as we move more into virtualization, those sorts of things, like we can capture the interest of these incredibly smart young people. And we can provide the similarly exciting opportunity as the Googles and those companies in the past were a new way of working, right? I think we've got a little bit of time, right, that we need to kind of actually convert these workplaces from low tech, old school manufacturing to this like new fun place where you can collaborate with robots. But that's part of what we want to try to do, is kind of get the story out there, let more people know what it is. And I love what you said about the booth is you don't have the guarding to make people feel like they can actually come collaborate and experience it. And we want our industry to be more welcoming, to be able to teach more so that people know how cool it is. Because I don't know, at least for us, like once you're there touching, making things happen like that in a factory, it's very hard to say, I'm never going to do this again, unless you have a horrible time with like your company culture or different things like that. But so it's been fantastic to like bring together people that are in this space, that are forward thinking, community minded. And I have a pretty good feeling that we'll be seeing you again a little bit later this year in Long Beach, maybe with some fun stuff. Do you know if you guys are going to have anything big and new and to share later this year at other trade shows? Yeah,
our next big trade show is going to be Automation Fair, which is actually hosted by Rockwell Automation.
Yes.
It's in Anaheim this year. Yeah. It's going to be very, very nice. And we have a few products up our sleeve, and we're looking forward to showcasing what Auto by Rockwell Automation has in store for the market.
Sounds good. Well, we hope to catch up with you there as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping by and having this conversation with us. And if you watch this later and this is an area of interest, reach out to any of us. We can make the introductions. Our whole community is just super excited to get to talk about the nerdy things we love. So the more people that join in the conversation, the better.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye. Thank you.